Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Talon Talk podcast. I am not Sulli, so I am not your actual host, but I am because he's on vacation this week. So it is me, your boy Cloudii, hosting this week's edition of Talon Talk. This week's edition, we are here with the one and the only Callum. What's up, Callum?
I thought a second, but hello! That caught me off guard complete.
And we are also here with the man, the myth, and the legend, Boulter.
What up? How's it going?
So this week's episode, we're going to be recapping our draft from yesterday. We're recording this on Fridays, so if any big trades go down, we won't know about it. So we will go over the draft, and then we'll talk about a little bit of the maybe some of the picks that surprised us, some of the picks that we really didn't expect. And after that, we'll go over where we think the teams will end up at the end of the year this year. We'll go over our power rankings and what we think of all the new teams. We're basically looking at brand new teams now. Almost all the teams are like totally revamped, so that'll be fun. And we'll go over some of the new rules for next season. There's definitely a few rule changes that will be pretty big. So let's start it off here. What do you guys think of the draft? Just give me like a 2-sentence summary of what you thought the draft was like.
Boulter, ladies first.
Oh, did you just assume my gender?
I'm sorry, I just assumed someone with that beautiful of a voice had to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm going to stop there before it gets any more awkward.
No, I thought it went pretty well. It went pretty smooth. Like running it, we got it done in like a good half an hour.
Oh my god, it was like half the amount of time of last year.
Yeah, I know. Everybody was there. We didn't have like many people putting in their picks by like proxy, which is really good. Personally, like I think everybody was pretty happy with their picks. Like nobody, maybe apart from Callum. Sorry, Poxel.
Fuck Mad Dog, that's what I'm saying.
But I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, and what about you, Callum? What do you think?
Well, I think I got robbed in the last round of the draft. Apart from that. Nah, I think it's definitely a really nice draft. We got some really talented players going to decent teams. I feel like teams definitely took advantage of that voice break in the round 1 pick. Some teams really took advantage and they definitely targeted the right players to fit them.
Yeah, definitely.
Something I noticed is that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I don't have anyone left on my list," but I had like 10 people left on my list that I wanted. When everybody was saying that,
Yeah,
so it was great.
That was definitely one of the things that was surprising for me. There was like a lot of quality, even in like round 5, round 6. There's still a ton of quality players up there that like you would expect to have gone earlier.
Wait, I'm trying to look. What it was in round 5? Hammer went. Yeah, round 5.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He got picked and nobody even knew he was still on the board.
Yeah.
Everyone thought he went earlier in that. So, yeah. Definitely.
Like just looking at round 5, going through, we had like the M1N God. It was my like second pick after Ellis for high SR DPS player. Hammer time. Shannon, who I know was pretty popular.
Yeah, I was so happy she didn't get yoinked.
Evers and Sleepy Beans switch is huge. Like, I think everyone was pretty happy with how it went, and there were their picks.
Yeah, and going into this draft, we kind of thought that the first like 3-4 picks, we all kind of had an idea of who those first like 4 or 5 picks were gonna be, and Glass and Foot goes out and picks someone no one's ever heard of. So, the first overall pick. What do you guys
think? I would have actually cried laughing if Dizzy was the first pick for Glass and Foot. Because I remember legit just typing in the chat saying foot pick and a wheel him right back here. And I would have actually cried if he went through with it.
When legit was saying, "Oh, I can't make the draft," I just went, "Thank God, he's not going to pick Dizzy first."
Yeah.
But yeah, Tomi. absolutely huge. He's going to be a huge player for us this season.
MVP of the season. Season 3
honestly,
MVP.
The reason we got him, we needed a low SR off support player, and I went to his previous teams and I said, look, like, what do you know of this guy? How is he? How is he playing in a diamond team? And basically, they were friends with the captain, but they said that he is like an unreal player. He plays way above his SR. He's really, really nice and kind, and he's even doing our logo. So
Awesome.
awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we get in the rest of the first round, and then, you know, those players we kind of expected to go in the first round start going, like Dizzy to Valks and Aftermath Slick and Ginger going to Dark Matter. Like, those are the ones we knew were going to go early in the first round. And even Houdini to Ascension, that's a huge
That's a big
pickup
one.
too. Yeah. So we basically
I knew Mermaid would go early as well. I heard her name passed around a few teams.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all these teams basically look like brand new teams. Teams like Ascension, Samurais, Dark Mount. I mean, they
Well,
literally
Samurais.
doubled the size
Johannes
of their team.
Gates, Glass and Foot, Shimada.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
We've got
So,
Gihan. How do you say that name? Can I throw you guys under the bus again? Gihan.
listen, I've been thrown under the bus so many times this week. It's done. I'm done with it.
Johanna.
Right, Daze's
Yeah.
team. That's what I'm going to
Yeah.
call it now.
We'll go with
Daze's
that.
team. They're a new team as well because I don't think they have any of the original members of BB there, or they have one or two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So now that we got these, you know, brand new teams going into season 3, nobody really knows what's gonna come of it. It's the perfect time to talk about what we think is gonna come of it. What do we
And all
think
be
season 3
completely
is gonna
wrong.
bring?
I think it's such a hard pick because 5 of the teams are basically brand new teams.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Glass and Foot have like half the original roster, but they've still got new players.
You know what's gonna be great is going back and listening to this at the end of season 3 and like seeing how wrong we were.
We're gonna be so wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, to be honest.
Like we think we know slightly what we talk about, or we might sound like we do, but in reality we have no idea.
We don't know. We don't know anything.
It's like any good analyst would say that.
Not me. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Debatable.
Okay, we'll quote him here. And the season.
This
if
is
he's
the end of.
doing the 100% accuracy.
I will bet that I get this exactly right.
And this is where Boulter's time on the Talon Talk podcast gets cut short.
Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, so let's get to the power
Yeah.
rankings here. So just a little bit of background about how we did this. We basically broke up the teams into 4 tiers. And so we have our 4 tiers here, tier A, B, C, and D. Just a little description of what each tier means to us. I think we can all agree on it a little bit. Our tier A teams are the teams we could basically see in the finals. We could see them being one of those like Final Four teams. They're kind of a lock for that, right? And we get into our tier B teams. These are the teams that we think pretty consistently going to make the playoffs. We think that these are going to be the teams we see in there, right? And then we get in their tier C, where these are going to be the teams that maybe on the bubble, maybe they get in, maybe they don't, but they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And we got our tier D teams that we think probably won't make the playoffs this season. You guys all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool.
I'd also like to point out that personally, I haven't done any of my tiers in particular orders. So like, the first person in tier A isn't any
Yeah.
different to the last person in tier A.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
Um,
All right, well let's open it up here. Let's start in tier A, and I think that there's really only one team we all agree on in tier A, and
It's
that
also
team,
my only team in tier A.
yeah.
yeah.
And what is that team?
Sans Garden.
There it is. There it is.
Overforced.
Champions.
Overforced.
Tornado.
Come back.
Yeah.
We got
So maybe Callum, why don't you give me a little description of why you think Zenz is gonna be back in A tier here?
All right. So first of all, they were last season's winners. They've got Wood Balls on main tank still, one of the league's best main tank, and their players that they have they're some of the best players on their roles. And what's interesting is their players, they definitely have the specialized players, and they've just found something to work and they've gone through it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have lost Chaos and Serenity, but I feel like they've still got some good support players. For example, Lexi, when she's in the right frame of the range, she's a solid support. It's just going to be interesting to see whether they can actually bridge the gap that Serenity and Chaos are going to leave in this team.
Yeah, and this is the team that just went out, won the championship, and they're basically coming back with almost the same team. I mean, they had one pick in the draft, but other than that, I mean, this is almost the same team we saw just win the finals, so it's kind of hard to count them out for that A tier, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think personally, I think Serenity was a huge loss. I think she's the best Mercy in the league. I think she got MVP for Zen's Garden 3 or 4 times throughout the year, and it's huge. But I still would put them in tier A, even though I don't think they'll have such an easy season. But I think they've still got it pretty securely in tier A.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else you guys would throw in that tier there?
Yeah, I put Republic Rebels and Glass and Foot. That's us.
Whoa, big
Yeah,
ones.
modest, eh?
Very humble Boulter.
Give me
I know,
why
I
you
know.
think Rebels will be up in that tier this season.
Again, I think Rebels didn't finish the season too well, but I still think they have a good team, and with the new captains coming in, with Jade, Twisted, and Xenon, and those 3 make a good threesome. And with
Initial laughter.
and with the players they got coming over from No Banana, I think they're going to be pretty good. And personally, for Glass and Foot, I don't think.
That's just bias.
I think I know it is pretty biased, but I'm not gonna.
Let's not get into that.
But I've seen our players this season. I've played with them 3 times now, and we've got a really good group of players. We've recruited well. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, and another team that I kind of had on the bubble between A and B, and I'm not really biased, but Callum is. The team I had there is Samurais, Shimada Samurais. I think they made
Here's
out.
me being humble and not
I
putting
think-
myself A tier.
I think they're borderline. I have them in my B tier, but I can see them finishing that A tier. They made out real good in the draft, had some great draft picks, and I'm excited
It's
to see.
almost like I knew what I
the
was
team.
doing.
Only sometimes.
I think yeah. Moving on to tier B, I guess.
Yeah, let's
Samurais have drafted the best out of any of the new teams, or any of the teams which have had low players. I think they've picked up really well.
definitely.
Like I
agree.
spoke to Callum earlier, that he has quite a low SR team. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
not hard to recruit a 2750 player. But I think he's done pretty well with who he's picked up.
Definitely. So let's move
I'm
on.
just
to
gonna
our
wait.
BT.
Karisu is an excellent DPS. Serenity is an excellent Mercy. PD Hawks is a great main tank. Ray the God, we were looking at to get. He looks like a great flex for low SR. Shannon looks like a great Mercy player.
Definitely.
I think
The Eagle boost is unreal right now.
Got a good strong team. I think.
Definitely. Yeah, so let's move on to our B tier. So we can all agree on Zen's Garden for the A tier, and we have Boulter goes a couple more in there. Let's see what we got in the next tier here. These are teams we think are most likely gonna be making the playoffs. Who you got?
I've got 2 teams. I have Valkyrie's Descent and Aftermath.
And why would that be? Give me Valks. Give me a reason you got Valks.
Alright, hold on. I've got to look at my notes here. I've got quite a few pages.
At least one of us is
I'm
prepared.
just making this up tonight.
I might have only Circa who spent like a half a day just doing notes.
Possibly.
Anyway, right. Here's exactly why Falc's gonna be. They might not be A tier like competing with Sense Garden, but you gotta look at how they played in the playoffs.
Mhm.
They took no beat a few maps. Yes, they ended it weak, but in the very next game, they demolished Genjitsu. They looked like a different team.
Totally.
They've still got so they had a very strong playoff run. They're not a new team. They're gonna be synergized, and we can't overestimate the fact that they have Ruben, Dizzy, and Fuka. Fuka is really annoying to deal with on DPS, and I can say this from plugs.
Yeah.
Dizzy is widely regarded as one of the best hit scan DPS, the best hit scan DPS in the league.
And there you
And
have it.
remember, that's what Falk was lacking.
Yeah.
They've
Definitely.
covered that hole completely.
They-
And Ruben can just take over a match with his hog. He's just stupid.
They definitely covered that hole, bringing in both of them guys. And this is a team I had in my B tier too. It's another team that finished third place, and they do have almost the same core of players there. And the transactions they made in the draft, they basically picked up some of these really good players that I think they will definitely go far again this season.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
being said, they do have some glaring weaknesses in the Falk roster.
Or where would that be?
And it's right, in my opinion, they don't have that strong of a main tank line. I've watched both Sewer and Fishes. While Sewer does play above silver rank, if you compare him to, like, for example, Sense Garden, it's Wood Balls. No way would he be able to keep up with Wood Balls. And I think that's when you think about how important the main tank battle actually is, especially if it's the Ryan v Ryan. I think they're going to find that they struggle with the main tank, and they will lose a lot of fights because the main tank will get outplayed by higher quality main tanks from other team. But I feel like due to the strength of their supports and their off tanks and their DPS, that they won't obviously drop too many maps, and that's why I've not got them C tier, but I've also not got them A tier.
Yeah.
See, I agree with pretty much all that. I think what Lolly has done is make a team and server a desirable place to be. And
Also-
I know they have a lot of fun in there, and it kind of draws players in.
Yeah, also I want to say 750 players?
However,
Wow.
I will point
Wow.
out that No Banana absolutely demolished them in the playoffs,
And there you have it.
Yeah.
which is why. But they are still the same team as they have been last season, which
Yeah.
I think is why they will still do well this season.
I think
Yeah,
any
I-
team that can go through the off season and still have a core is going to be one of those teams we see in the playoffs. If you can keep a team together and still have that synergy continuing for last season, that's usually one of the hardest things as a team to come by, is getting a group of people together, but then making sure that that group of people can play well together. And if you can keep a core together, it's going to help you in the long run.
Do we want to talk about Aftermath now? Because I assume we've all got Aftermath beats here.
Yeah,
We do.
I do, but I'm also biased. So good. Tell me why you have Aftermath there. I won't tell you why I have them there.
Alright. So, originally when I thought 222 were not going to be, like before the draft, when I thought 222 wasn't going to be enforced, I was like, god damn it, they're going to keep playing GOATs. And remember, you guys took no beat of 5 maps on GOATs. And I was like, you were the best Season 2 GOATs team at that comp. So when it was announced 222 rollout would be forced, I thought, oh, this is where you might fall off a little bit, but then you got Slick.
Yeah.
Then you just covered, you got your DPS players enough to let me have confidence in your lineup. You've got a really solid support line, like they are just solid, you and Clean Poopy.
Shut out, Clean Poop.
You also got really flexible players as well. I think my one weakness in Aftermath is that, again, your main tank position. And don't want to discredit the guy, but he needs to be less aggressive and hold up his shield more. You got away with it because in Ghosts it just enables Reinhardt, I feel like in 2-2-2, he can't be just trying to charge into the enemy's backline and just go on hell Narnia. He's definitely going to have to tone his aggression down a little bit. And I think if he does that, he'll definitely become a stronger main tank.
So Boulter, you have Aftermath in Tier B, right? Why do you think they should be there?
I like Aftermath. I think they're a solid team. They've all been together for quite a long time. There's not been too much change in the roster from even season 1. I think you're a good manager and good captain. You keep your cool very well, and I think you've got a very good coach in Truck. So I think you're a very strong team overall.
Well, thank you.
But I don't think you're strong enough and don't have the other players
Yeah,
to push for TRA.
definitely.
But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
And I'm not gonna tell you why I have Aftermath in Tier B. It would all just be biased. Alright, so we got Valks and Aftermath in Tier B. Who else you got?
That's it for me.
That's it for you? Alright.
I got Shimada Samurais.
Oh yeah,
We mentioned,
definitely.
we mentioned that already.
And I got, you had Glass and Foot in Tier A, I got them in Tier B. So, we've already talked about them enough. Another team...
Is it better?
Go ahead.
No, never. I'll save it for next.
That probably means it was going to be toxic.
Bro, Cloudii, it's not toxic, it's toxic. Come on.
There it is. Another team I had in Tier B that would probably surprise everybody that I have them in Tier B is Ascension. And this is not the Ascension that they were last season, right? Like, there's probably 1 or 2 people on their team that were on their team last season. So, I have them in Tier B. I think they'll be in the playoffs, no doubt. What do you guys think? Where you guys have Ascension? We'll jump around a little bit here.
I've actually got Ascension C tier.
Me too.
Okay.
I think with a team like this, you just can't tell.
I mean, they picked up the white one. I think he's pretty good. They picked up Houdini.
She.
Oh, she. Whoops. I knew that.
Throwing Cloudii under the bus.
Here it is. I'm just going to rename the podcast that.
We could have kept that quiet, but...
Oh, no. Where's the fun in that? No. I'm not gonna lie, whenever someone like mentions Ascension now, I just imagine Rob with a long trench coat, just like, you wanna buy a support? And he just pulls out, like, undoes his trench coat, and he's got like the little icons, all the 7 support mains he's got on his team.
Yeah, they do have a lot of support, so I guess they might have enough support to bring them to Tier B.
True. I just think with this, Ascension, you can't tell, and they could do well. They might not.
Well, I think that's all the Tier B teams we had here. Let's move on to Tier C a little bit. I'll say one of the ones I had in Tier B, and that is TLM. I had them in Tier C. Just because I don't think that they made enough changes over the off season to improve too much. I don't see this team getting into the Final Four of the playoffs.
I'm not gonna lie, I think they're even weaker than they were last season, if
yeah,
anything.
I would agree with that. So, who else you got in Tier C?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got SDG. I think with SDG, again, they've not made many changes, and they've got just about a good enough team to play and contest the playoffs, I think. I think they're decent, just overall. They're not weak in any areas. They're not stand out in any areas.
Yeah.
I'm middle of the road with them. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. I think it's
another team I'm moving in Tier C is Genjutsu. I don't see them getting as far as they did last season. What do you guys think about that?
I've got them in C as well.
Yeah.
How about you, Callum?
I'm not gonna lie, I was debating to put them to D, but the only main reason I didn't was because of the 2 players they have of Marmin and Winter Road. I also think they've got solid leadership in Trainer. And I forgot who the other leaders are now, and I feel total paper
Inches, I
brain.
think, and somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, if Inches he's a nightmare to deal with on his main. That's what won Genjitsu a lot of the games was his main. But other than those three, if I remember, they've lost. Was it Requin?
Yeah.
It used to
Yeah.
be. She was a solid support player, and she's decided to not be.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, and I just don't see that team. I mean, last season they finished, Final Four, and I don't see them getting back to that.
Thing is,
No.
they've been the captain of Genjutsu for like over a year, like a year and a half. So for them, and there's still similar players, for players to adapt to new captains.
Hmm.
I don't know, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm just gonna read out my entire C tier.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
that's where I think
Okay.
a lot of us have.
Alright, my C tier is obviously Shimada. I think they have we definitely have the potential to go A tier, but we're a new team. We're gonna need some time to synergize.
Hmm.
And obviously, first few weeks when we're experimenting with lineups, see what works. So there's a potential that we do lose one or two maps early on due to trying to figure out, chuck everything at the wall and see what sticks, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that could cost us in the long run, like in this season. But I feel like thinking about the next season, that's going to be the best way to do. I've got Republic Rebels after them. I think,
Really.
honestly, before the draft, until I saw they got the trades that they had, I was like, oh, this team is screwed. But then I realized they got Ant, Promi.
Yeah, this is actually. I forgot to mention this team I had in Tier B. I don't think they dropped that much. I could not see them missing the playoffs.
I think I'll get the playoffs, but I don't think they'll make too much of a long run in playoffs.
Gotcha.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest,
Yeah.
I feel like. Let me look back at the roster so I don't get names wrong. Here we go. It's like I love the fact they got possibly what could be one of the strongest support lines in Promi and Eleanor. That's a solid support line. Tattooed Ace is a great player.
Mm-hmm.
Ant, amazing off tank. Yami, a solid support player. I think the biggest weakness is actually the DPS. I'm not saying that bad, but when you compare it to the rest of the roster, it's like you're like, oh wow, it's like Xenon, great flex player, but he's a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Mm-hmm.
And the nicest, like I love him, and I know he's gonna slang me out of this podcast.
Yeah,
Twisted.
I mean,
He can take over games, but he requires a lot of resources to do so.
Yeah.
I find if you take Twisted out, and Twisted gets very aggressive, and if you deal with that, you can shut him down.
Yeah.
But his Pharaoh and Soldier are very deadly.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think. I know Jade's been practicing Widow.
Jade's good.
But
yeah,
who's the hit scan? Like, who's the main hit scan play? Like, snipers kind of thing.
Jade, the only Widow they have. Twisted as Soldier. And the thing with Jade now, he's 2750 instead of 2250 from last season.
Yeah, so you're going to have to really dedicate to playing Jade.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But they do have Ant Prom to put in to level out.
Yeah, it's definitely a team I got in the B tier.
My next C tier is Glass and Foot. I think there's a lot of unknowns about your team, Boulter, with like all the new recruits and stuff. I haven't been able to see a lot of them play, so it's like if I don't know that team well enough, I can't justify putting them B or A tier.
It's understandable.
You're you're basically a new team as well, so you're gonna have that similar synergy issues. That being said, you've got obviously you, Boulter. You've got Hikesho.
Hikesho's not on the roster anymore.
Is she not? Oh,
big rip.
Is that fair? What? she was. Ah, that just made me look dumb. Okay, you've still got Boulter.
Yeah,
right now you've got D9, who's a solid flex.
No, we lost him.
Okay, do you want to lose your entire roster? It's like, is this it where I just say names and after the podcast is released, they just drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
I'll
much.
edit this whole.
I
podcast
think,
out.
honestly, I mean, I know when I was playing with you guys, I know you shot called a lot, Boulter. But apart from you, I don't know if you guys have any shot callers.
Oh, Collie is a great shot. It's fantastic.
There you go.
He's improved so much last season.
And
Like, we had a scrim this week, and he was doing so well.
Yeah, obviously I can't talk about because I haven't played with him recently. But
It's always
Kali
hard.
is a like solid middle of the pack. Like if I'm thinking main tank rankings, he's quite middle of the pack.
Yeah. Where you got
He
SDG?
doesn't
You got him in
feed.
you got SDG in tier C?
No, I do not have SCD in TSC.
Where you got that?
I actually have him in D tier.
Wow. Wow.
Alright.
That's a big one.
I'm
I want to talk
Is that
about
all?
that.
yeah.
Is that your TSC done?
Yeah, TC for me is Shimada, Republic, Rebels, Class and Foot, Ascension, Dark Mount, and Ninjutsu.
Have we talked about Dark Mount yet? No, we haven't. Do you want to talk
No, we
about them
haven't.
first? And then we on to tier D.
Yeah,
Alright, so I know they've got some really solid players in their roster. I know they got a great shot caller in Fuel Maker. He's a really good supporter and his call outs are really nice. If he wasn't in his time zone he would on, I would have definitely tried to pick him up.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice pick by them.
I think Darkbound can definitely be in tier C, but I don't know how well this team will hold together throughout the year.
Yeah,
I think that's their biggest thing.
the mentality of this team is
Yeah.
going to be the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm thinking about it, if they hold together with that current roster, I mean, you got Parks and Ginge for your attack line. I mean, Parks doesn't have a great diva, but you can do with Sigma, Saria, and Ginger can just play all the other tanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great tank line. Poxel and
Yeah, I
Jin play
think
really well together.
if
But they've already got synergy together. And I think they'll do well.
I think if they keep together, they could make they could definitely overtake some teams I have in C tier and might make a push to be increased to A tier, but I feel
yeah.
due to the fact of there's a question mark on whether they're going to be able to stay together as a team, I can't warrant putting them higher, but they've got a lot of potential.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't have them any higher. I would have them up in B tier, really.
Yeah, I've got them in D tier. I think that Poxel and Ginger is looking great, but does Poxel want to stay? Will Ginger stay? They're going to have to do something great to keep them. I think Mad Dog is a captain. I think he's pretty put together well. He's got a lot of experience. But again, they're a team full of new players, and out of the new teams, I think they've probably got the weakest draft picks, and they didn't pick up anyone before. They only picked up 2 players before the draft, which is the only reason I put them in D. But like with all the new teams, I can't. It's so hard to tell. Like, I don't want to keep reading that, but
D tier, then I think we should move on to. Obviously, I've got SDG, and I feel like I've got some serious explaining to do of why I put them in D tier.
All right, so yeah, you have SDG in tier D. Why do you got them there?
Right, let me just get my page of notes. I'm gonna start with the positives. They've got okay players. They're not some. I don't want to consider half the roster feeders kind of thing. So I think with Roxas on his sim, they're gonna be a bit of trouble. But you can't rely on one buff that may actually get patched out throughout an entire season.
Yeah. I mean, right now.
I mean, it
Sim
worked
is
with goats, but
strong. And it'll be interesting because if teams run like Rhine Sigma or try to do
Orisa Sigma.
Yeah. Anything with Sigma as an off tank, Sim is gonna destroy him.
Yeah. Another reason why I've got them in D tier is when I look at the rosters of like C tiers, B tiers, I'm looking at them. I was like, oh shit, that's a good player. And I was like, if you talk about whatever role they played, you would like if you're talking about top 5 people, these names would be brought up into the conversation. And I was doing that with SCG's roster, and I was like, I don't think any, minus Sim and Roxas, I don't think many SCG players would be considered top 5 in their respective roles.
Yeah,
As
right now
well,
it doesn't look like they have a lot of carry potential.
yeah. Also, they've got they're going against RR, going against Grassenfoot. They're gonna most likely lose those games. So that's 2 games lost. They could probably beat Genjitsu's and SCG's a 50-50. Darkmount, if they're on a good run, I don't think SCG would beat Darkmount
Yeah.
in their current situations.
Yeah, so moving on to the rest of the D tier here, I think Guyana Gates is probably going to be around D tier. That my D tier is made up of Guyana Gates and Darkmount. I don't think we really talked about GG too much here, but I don't think they've added anybody. Just like SDG, I don't think they added anybody that pops out to me too much, and I don't see them rising up too much with their current roster.
Yeah, and that bit about they are basically a new team, so not only do they have uh, not many pop out names, but they need to synergize as well. I mean, I know Finals, she's a solid support. Knight's a decent hit scan player. Days is obviously a really good Doom. Beavers is a decent tank. And I heard some people were talking quite a bit about Ghostly. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at the roster and I'm like, I really don't know much about any of their players. So there's still a chance they might just have their recruits are really good.
Yeah, that's the
And they just
hardest
pop
part
out.
about ranking
But
people at this point is like we don't know how a lot of these people are gonna be, especially ones out of the draft, you know.
yeah, but what one I also consider is towards the end of last stage, you had pretty much the same people on the roster, at least half this roster. And I don't think they actually won many games. I know they got DQ'd in one, but they've lost Anger, who was their star.
Yeah. So
I don't know whether he's coaching now or whether he's gone from the server completely.
that'll be interesting to see. So did we miss anybody? Anybody else?
Yeah,
you guys wanna talk about?
TLM,
yeah, I've got TLM in the D tier.
Oh, okay,
as
there
do
you
I.
go. Wow.
Yeah, I just think that they've got 2 or 3 names that I think really jump out at me. Bigfoot is a really, really good DPS. Really good. As is Frumps. But, and you know what Warp Zone is?
Yeah,
Maybe maybe they should be C tier. Maybe.
Yeah, that's where I got him.
I think they have a nice potential for C tier as like a gatekeeper, but I'm not. I'm looking at a track record as well. They didn't really finish very strongly towards the season. Like I said before, I feel like they're one of the only teams to get weaker, if anything, after the draft. And you've also got to look at the fact they're in Division 1. So they've got to go against Valkyries, Sens, Ascension. Well, let's just, okay, you got A and B tier teams of Sens, Valkyries, Aftermath. So theoretically, those are 3 games they could easily lose straight off the bat.
Yeah.
That's half their season lost.
Yeah, I don't think that
They've got a really hard schedule.
I don't think they're a team that's gonna capitalize and be able to play under pressure in the end of the season, in the playoffs. I don't see them being able to pull some of those hard fought wins off.
Yeah, also, a lot of the time when in last season where I'm looking and I see TLM and I'm like, oh yeah, they should win that match beforehand, and they come out and they lose it.
Who else you guys got in the power rankings? Anybody else you guys really want to talk about here? Or?
I think I've mentioned everybody.
Yeah.
And if you really want, you can talk about Shimada a lot more.
Yeah, you would.
Nah, I don't wanna boost your ego anymore. It's already too big.
Bro, my ego might be boosted, but my SR isn't.
Those are your Talon Talk power rankings there. let's move into some of the stuff going into the new season here. So some of the rule changes, some of the stuff we want to talk about here that we think is going to impact the season. What do you got, Boulter?
What do we got? The new rules submissions. So a lot of the stuff has already come in, and hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, everyone should be aware of all these stuff anyway. But let's go over it quickly. So we're going to be deciding about a trade deadline. We might do it earlier than last year. Last year we had it in playoffs, and we might also only limit trades to weekdays. But that's something we're going to have to see, and we'll probably decide earlier on in the season when the trade deadline will be to give captains more of a chance to plan ahead of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows the playoffs is really important. So a rule for season 3 we're having is, if you notice in the rosters, we've had people add an extended leave category onto their rosters. So this is basically a new system to make sure people leave the team in the right way. If they want to leave the server or take a break from their team in any way, they can leave, say how long they're going to be gone for what reason, and say when they come back, they can go straight back onto their team, depending on the player cap. So it just means they won't instantly be put back into free agents, and they can just join their friends back on their team. I think it's probably a good idea.
That's a huge one for the new season. I think that affected a lot of teams last season, so that's definitely going to be good going forward.
Of course,
That's
a few
nice
arguments.
quality of life change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along
Let's
with
talk
that,
about the big one, the biggest rule change ever here. 2-2-2.
2-2-2. Yeah. So no more goats. No more 3-2-1.
Aw.
Yeah. I love 3-2-1. And I love goats. So rest in peace.
Can't run those 6 support strats. Damn it.
I know.
Ascension's so sad.
Lucio and 5 tanks is meta. No more. Although we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? How do you think this affects his talent? How this affects talent?
Honestly, I don't think many teams played Ghosts that much, or as much as they should have. I think Ghosts was super strong, even to the end where they brought in 2-2-2. I think more people should have been playing it, but it was just people thought it was an unfun comp to play. I disagree, but Callum, what did you think about Ghosts?
I love Goats, dude. I thought it was the best meta we've had.
Yeah, like I love Zen, I love Lucio, I love Moira, I love Brig, I love Ryan, I love Diva, and I love Zaya. Perfect.
It was like finally all those games where I had people just insta like 5 DPS, and we finally went to a meta where it's like, hey, you've got to learn to flex, dude.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard not to play 2-2-2 when all the heroes are gonna be balanced based on that, and so I think it's great moving forward. I've really enjoyed playing the game in a 2-2-2 role lock. Just personally, I think it has improved my experience. It makes me want to play. It's like a change that hasn't been made in a long time. It's a change that like actually draws me in and keep me wanting to play more. And I think a change like that has not came to Overwatch. I mean, anytime.
Probably since like where they removed playing multiple of the same hero.
Yeah,
I would say, yeah.
That's
like 2.5 years ago. Yeah.
Wait, you could play multiple of the same hero. What?
Yeah.
Back
actually in comp.
Yep. Yeah, this is like season 3, maybe. I don't know. Earlier. I think it's earlier than that, actually. Yeah. You can see how crazy that would be. You can have like 2 Bastions set up.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's one of those things. We look back on a change like that was so big for the game, but we couldn't imagine the game having that now. And I think that's going to be the same way. We're going to look back on 2-2-2, whether it be a year from now. We're going to look back on it and be like, man, I can't believe we ever played this game with 3 tanks and 3 support. Like, it's just going to be a totally different game. It's going to be, in my opinion, a lot better. But
it's made me want to play comp again, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
And also for the league, it means hopefully less people will sandbag into the league.
Yeah.
Cough, cough.
Yeah.
Not me, obviously.
I could
Sandbagging?
do
What's that?
something like
It's like
that.
no one ever has ever sandbagged in this league
But
whatsoever. I don't know what you're on about.
yeah, like Cloudii, I thought when you say the big announcement for season 3, I thought you were gonna say that teabagging is now fully allowed.
Oh yes!
Captains do not have to agree to teabagging.
There
You
it
can just
is.
go ahead and do it.
You heard it here first, maybe second, but
I mean, that's a huge announcement.
yeah, I guess.
Because teabagging over Poxel's dead body, who doesn't take satisfaction in that?
Shout out Boxel.
Even Puxel loves it, let's be honest.
Yeah, he lost my balls in his face.
Oof, there it is. What else?
Alright, any more changes,
Yeah.
Boulter?
I mean,
Okay,
I'll
moving
go.
on.
I'll go over a couple just formal ones. We're gonna limit the number of games going on at the same time as to 2, harder this year or this season. We've kind of been soft. That was a soft rule before, but it takes a piss when we can't get hosts and people saying, "Where's my host?" I say, "Oh, sorry, we don't have one." And it just causes
does what?
chaos. Causes chaos. Yeah.
Does what? I don't understand this UK slang. I don't
Like,
this
what do
is-
you mean?
Oh my
Oh.
Hey.
Try use simpler terms, Boulter.
My
I
American
want to
brain
say he's a
can't
simple
handle
NA, but
Having-
I feel like I get a
two-
lot of
having
issues
two-
saying that.
Having 2 or less games going on at the same time will make our lives easier.
Wow, I understand that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
What else?
Also, to do with streams, we're gonna try and to keep stream quality to get the stream quality better. We're gonna try and limit the number of people going onto the streams. I know we had a lot of like streams last year where like 4, 5, 6 people joined, and it was ridiculous. Like they were funny. Some of the funniest streams, but they weren't good quality streams. So we're gonna try and make it a bit more formal. How to get on, and if someone's in dire need of someone, they can just invite somebody. But we're gonna try and fix it up a bit. Like we're just adding like extra rules and extra examples of rules. So we're gonna have rules in pugs, or try and like not rules, but more guidelines and ways to make them pugs a bit more enjoyable. Hopefully, and hopefully less toxic. I mean, we all want a bit of banter in pugs because why else bother?
Who doesn't
But-
like banter?
Exactly, but yeah, toxicity and like degrading people is not what you want. It's not what people go there for.
Yeah.
And finally, probably a big change is Chaos came up with a really good MVP idea. So for every MVP, we're gonna have probably in the MVP log, we're gonna nominate 2 people from each team, like we did before. But then everybody on the 2 teams that have played and the casters who have streamed are gonna vote with reactions and emojis who they want to have as their MVPs for that game. So instead of 2 teams deciding, or between casters deciding, which might be more biased, we're going to have everybody who's involved vote, and it's going to be kind of a bit more discreet. So people can't overshadow and say, "Look, I want to be MVP." It's like,
Yeah.
I think with that,
I'm
I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, but Chaos has got it in his head. And when he explained it to me, yeah, when he explained it to me, it made a lot of sense, and it was a really good idea. So the MVP should improve a lot this season.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to season 3. I am
too,
very
dude.
excited. I'm so happy to get back in the swing of things, back in the scrims and matches, and I miss it.
And always, if anyone wants to come up with an idea, thinks they have a good idea to make the season and make the league better, just message me.
Can we have a 1v6 against Puxel and Twisted?
Yes, as long as you teabag all the time.
Okay.
Only.
That's
it. That's the only
even
time
version
that
of
works,
the
actually.
All-Stars
when-
game. Is a
even when you
1v6.
Who can kill him first?
Yeah. Like just release the hounds onto Puxel Twisted. Maybe TC as well for some extra spice.
And
Oh,
here it
yeah.
is. This is
Cool.
where you get the big analysis here.
That was a lot of our season 3 rule submissions. Probably the main ones. I might have missed a few, but we're going to be releasing them all in a few days. Hopefully before this weekend's over. Our moderation policy is going to change. We're going to try and update it and make it a bit better. Our rules are going to be updated for season 3.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's about
Oh, wait.
it. Oh,
Final thing is, on Sunday we have the EU versus the NA team. NA
is that
game.
Sunday?
It's
Oh,
on
we
Sunday.
actually have it booked now.
Yep,
All right.
we have it
What
booked.
time?
Let me have a look. It's going to be at 2 p.m. CST, 3 p.m. EST, and 8 p.m. BST.
There it is. Tune in. I don't know if this
Uh,
podcast will be out before or after that, but
EU wins, easy clap, don't worry.
Yeah, 4-0. Don't worry about it. I mean,
in before
look at
NA does 4-0 and
Like, just remember, you
I
got
still
twisted
release
as a
this.
captain. Yeah,
I can't even make it, dude. I can't make it.
Oh, god
that's not
damn
fun.
it, both. Who are we actually playing?
Whoever's reacted.
The-
I'm just gonna make team comps out of
There
whoever's
it is.
reacted.
Alright.
Actually go into the EU team server.
Alright.
How many? Everyone can make it apart from me. Awesome.
There it is. Alright. So that's all I got for today. You guys got anything else you want to bring up? Anything you want to talk about? Maybe
It's
you
time
just
for my
wanna
dinner.
Shout somebody out here. I don't know.
Oh, I'll shout someone out, yeah.
Do it.
Don't worry, Pox. You'll be coming home.
There it is. Alright.
Love you, baby.
Alright. Just to wrap things up here. Thank you, everybody. Feedback's been great. Love you guys. We'll be back next week to preview season 3 matchups for week 1. And that's it. That's all I got.
Cool. Cheers, guys. I gotta go.
Boulter, love you.
See ya. Are we still recording?
Chief, peace out, guys.
I mean, it's been recording since I hit the record button. So.
Well, no shit, Cloudii. It's the point of hitting the recording button.